Swimmers love to talk about swimming. Sometimes I think swimmers love to talk about swimming a little bit too much. That's why I've decided to make it a priority on this channel to talk to high-level swimmers about things that aren't necessarily involving splits or difficult practices or medal counts or things of those sorts, things that apply to the aquatic region, things that involve natatoriums, aquatic centers, speedos, tech suits, all of that stuff. One of those swimmers that I've decided to talk to about things other than splits, medal counts, speedos, tech suits, all of that other stuff that involves water. One of those swimmers that I talk to is Tom Dean, an Olympic champion and a guy that loves watches.
But I see you lifting up the left arm a little bit, and I noticed on Instagram, or maybe not Instagram, maybe it was Twitter, that you are an Omega ambassador. So we'll give a little plug to Omega. I'm sure that they'll notice that. What are you rocking? What kind of watch is it?
I actually got this just before I came out to Greece. It's the Apollo 8. So it's a bit unusual. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but it's a little bit of an unusual model. It's the Apollo 8 Dark Side of the Moon Speedmaster. I went into their flagship store in London, and I got spoken through the whole range as I have before, and I absolutely love the watches. And we discussed which one would be best suited for me, and we land on this one, and I love it. And it's you can see the mechanics behind it, and it's really exciting. And it's cool actually. I did a bit of media with them out in Japan for the Worlds, and it's really cool meeting all the other there's a few Omega athletes, and it's a really great group to be a part of. So yeah, it's awesome. It's really exciting, and I love my watches. Ask anyone, I'm really into my watches, so it's kind of an ideal partnership when it came up.
Well, let's dive into the watch world then. So you were a watch guy before the Omega deal.
Absolutely, yeah, no, 100%. My mate Jimmy, James Guy, he's my training partner. He kind of got me into that world of watches and what was out there and exploring all the different ranges and stuff like that. And obviously, Omega's always been synonymous with swimming and with the Olympics. Obviously, Michael Phelps being the main guy that everyone thinks of when they think of Omega and swimming, and he's still associated with the brand. And then you see their names plastered all over the Olympics. Obviously, they're the top timekeepers at the games and stuff. So this opportunity came along, and I was like, this is my favourite partnership. What a cool thing to be associated with. And, we got it signed however many months ago, and I was like, in the lead up to Paris as well, there's always like a big Omega house in the village and stuff. So, yeah, it's quite cool. But no, really into my watches, thanks to Jimmy Guy.
Right on. Yeah, my dad got me into watches, and actually the watch that got me into it was an Omega Speedmaster that he had.
Yeah.
He ended up passing down a watch to me, which was a Breitling, which I think I could be completely down and out, not have a place to live, and I would still have that watch on my wrist.
Oh, 100%.
So if you're allowed to, I know you're an Omega ambassador, what other stuff do you have in your watch box?
Oh, I don't really have much else in my watch box. It's purely Omega, but it's more of an interest I've taken, and Jim and I have been able to discuss and, looking at all things from tags to Rolexes to Breitlings to some of the higher end, your Pateks and your APs and stuff like that. So it's a real appreciation for them. But yeah, without saying too much, it's Omega for me all the way. That's what I've got in my watch box.
Right on. Yeah, it seems like that's kind of the go-to piece of jewelry for guys. You're not going to be rocking like a Cuban link chain with a bunch of diamonds on it or anything.
Not just yet. We'll see how Paris goes. So maybe next time we're dropping this pod, you'll have me with a big Cuban link around me. But yeah, I'm not really a chain guy. I'm not really a rings guy, and I just love once you get into the mechanics of watches, because people always say, oh, why do you spend so much on a watch? Or, why does a watch take so long to, hand make and stuff like that? But actually, once you dive in to the art of watchmaking and the mechanics behind it, I think it's so cool. And different purpose-built watches, obviously Omega known for their diving watches as well, which is really cool. So yeah, it's such an interesting world. And I feel like once you're hooked, it's one of those things. Once you get hooked on it, and you just anytime I'm out and about now, and I see people I'm in London and stuff, see people walking around, I'm like spotting stuff on people's wrists, or even out here in Greece. It's really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an obsession. It's an obsession that I think you either have it or you don't. When you're introduced to your first watch, I think it's kind of just like a litmus test for whether or not you're going to be addicted for the rest of your life. So you mentioned that one has kind of a smoked out back, I think is what they call it, right? When you can see the mechanics on the inside. So when you were in the Omega shop, maybe this would just be an Omega watch podcast. We'll just title it Talking About Omega Watches with Tom Dean. So you just got walked into the shop and they just kind of said, we'll try to find a watch that fits you. But in reality, you can just kind of pick whatever you want. Was that the gist of it?
Yeah, it's a bit of that, and it's being introduced to kind of their world. So it's not my first time in that shop. You know, even before I was even working with Omega, when I was like a young man and a teenager, it's their store on Regent Street, and it's literally right off Oxford Circus. I don't know how well you know London, but this is like the heart, right in the centre of London. So the busiest part of London, I'd say, you know, and everyone goes there for all their shopping and stuff, and you literally come right off Oxford Circus down Regent Street and the store's there. So I've been going into that store when I was like a little kid. You know, I grew up in London, and or when I was a teenager, going back in and just going to around Soho, around the shops and stuff that I'd always go into. I just loved going into the Omega store and into all these different watch stores and stuff like that. So going back there, and they're like, oh, welcome me in, and we go up to the top floor, and I meet all the kind of the big dogs of Omega. And then, yeah, them talking me completely through their whole range. You know, like you said, the Speedmaster is something that's like iconic, and I always have my eyes on that one. And the Speedmaster Moonwatch was one I really wanted, and I was able to get it as my first one with them, and then being invited back in and shown around. So yeah, it's a little bit of, do you have anything on your mind? It's a little bit of like, this is what we've got at the moment. This is our new range, which they just brought out recently, the 75th anniversary for the Speedmaster, without sounding too much like an advert myself. But it was actually a really cool kind of walk through their world. And then, yeah, it's whatever suits you. And this one, as soon as I saw it, I was like, it's perfect, it's light. I wear it all the time. I can wear it when I'm playing golf. And it's really, really cool. And you don't see many of them. You know, I've not seen many of these about. So, yeah, that's how I landed on it.
I love it. So speaking of that watch in particular, if you had to bet your watch on whether or not the 4x100 freestyle relay world record goes down by the end of Paris, are you betting it on yes, or are you betting it on no?
You didn't think I was going to give you that cool hypothetical betting your watch on a world record going down in 2024 that you might be a part of scenario that I just threw on Tom Dean's plate. You didn't think I was going to give you that answer for free. Well, not necessarily for free. I would like to exchange that answer to that Tom Dean question for a little bit of your time watching the full Tom Dean podcast. The full Tom Dean podcast, which goes live this Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time. This Sunday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Join me on my channel. Join me in the comment section of that video. Unless you're already going crazy in the comment section on this video, go ahead. Drop a comment down there. Let me know if you like watches. Let me know if you don't like watches. But one thing that I need from you is to join me on Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time in the comment section. Let Tom Dean know what you like, what you don't like, what you're neutral on, all of that stuff, all of his opinions in that podcast. I think it is probably my best produced podcast. I'm still working on getting better at the podcast thing, but I am recording one tomorrow with someone that I will not tell you who it is. It is someone that is a swimmer. Thanks for watching, y'all. Hit that like button, drop a comment, letting Tom know that you like watches or you do not like watches. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.